Hello and welcome. My name is Michael, and this will be my very first full development devlog for Radio General. That'll be the title I'll be using until I can think of something maybe snazzier for the game. So these first few devlogs will be pretty simple and very low level, and they could be used as tutorials if you want to make your own strategy game in Unity. But as we go along, the game will get more and more features, and the videos will have to become higher level because I won't be able to cover all of the code in videos because there'll be thousands and thousands of lines of code, most likely. So anyway, let's get started. One of the most basic parts of any strategy game is going to be the units. So in this game, we're going to have units be able to move, fight, and report what they're doing. So this video will cover the very basics of getting the units to move. So in my very, empty editor right here, all I've imported already is just an icon for infantry. So infantry are going to be your basic units. So they'll be running around. They're your basic grunts. So let's get these guys moving around. So first off, let's create a sprite by dragging this image out of the assets onto our scene. Looks like we've got quite a big image. This is the official infantry icon for military symbols, but you don't have to use that. So we have our infantry icon. So let's dumb down the scale a bit, make it a bit smaller so it's a bit more reasonable. So now we have our icon here. And what we're going to want to be able to do is assign a destination for this infantry unit to move to. So to do that, we're going to have to create some scripts. So let's first create some folders to organize our project a bit more. Alright, so art and scripts, that'll do for now. So let's drag in our image into the art folder. And let's create a script for our units. For now, we'll just call it, unit controller. Very apt name. And inside this script here, we simply want our unit to move towards some target that we give to it. So this target could be just a vector or it could be another object we give to it so it can follow an object. Let's do the object approach. So we want to be able to assign it a target, and we'll put that in public at the top so we can assign it inside the inspector. So when I go back to my editor here, if I add on my script unit controller, we can now see here's that little target icon here. So if we give it a transform, we want to be able to move towards that transform. So for that end, I believe we'll use a function called vector2.move towards. So what this does, it's going to take, one vector and a target vector, and it'll interpolate between the two and move towards, return a vector somewhere between the two. So indeed, the first one will be where we currently are. So we can get that by saying this.transform.position. That gives us, that'll actually return a vector 3, but since we'll be working in 2D, it'll just lop off the Z position, making it a vector 2 automatically. Very handy. And where we want to go is the target transforms position. Now, the max distance delta is essentially the speed of how quickly we're going to be moving. And that is a bit tricky since we're doing this in the update. We want that speed to be related to the update rate of our game. So we can get that by saying time.delta time. And that gives us the time it took to complete the last frame. So this component is essential here. If different computers have different frame rates, run at different speeds, units will be moving at different speeds if you don't have some sort of constant factor. So we should definitely use this term. Another perhaps property of our unit, maybe we should specify how fast we want our unit to move. So maybe we'll make a movement speed parameter. So for now, we'll just make it 1. And of course, it needs to be a float. And we'll multiply time.tell-time by our movement speed. Alright, so this is all it takes. This should be all it takes to have our unit move towards whatever this target transform we give to it. So let's do that. Let's make a target for our guy to move towards. Let's move him down in the bottom left, and let's create another object. I actually have an art for this. We'll create a flag to where we want our unit to go. So just scaling down the flag. There we go. So we want our unit to move from the bottom left to the top right to where this flag is. I guess we'll call it a destination. All right. So we want to drag our destination into the transform of our unit, and we'll just call it unit. And let's hit play. So obviously we're doing something wrong as we hit played and nothing happened. The mistake here is that we weren't actually doing anything with the vector this returns. So we actually need to assign where we currently are to this vector. And let's make sure that works. There we go. Alright, we can see our unit is moving towards our destination. If I move our destination around, we'll see our unit will change its course to try to get to the flag. And if we increase the unit's speed, he'd get there more quickly. Alrighty. So that's how simple it is just to get a unit that follows just a transform. But maybe we want to go a little bit further with this example. Maybe we want the unit just to follow our mouse. It seems like basic functionality maybe you'd want in your game. So to do that, we'll have to create another script. We'll call it follow mouse script. And we're going to attach this. Oh, sometimes it doesn't save properly. Thanks, Visual Studio. And we're going to attach this to our destination. So we want our destination to follow our mouse, and that way we'll be able to just move the mouse around and our unit will follow our mouse around. So to do that, we're going to have to get the input of where is the mouse currently. So we can do that by saying input dot mouse position. This gives us a vector3 in terms of screen coordinates. Now, that isn't quite the same as world coordinates though, so we're actually going to have to take our main camera and transform these screen coordinates to world coordinates. So I believe it is screen to world point. There we go. And if we pass in where our mouse is, we'll transform, where is the mouse on the screen? So the screen coordinates are definitely not the same as the world coordinates, as, your game world could be a lot larger than what your screen shows. And of course, we're going to have to assign our position to that as well. Okay. And there we go. We can see that our destination is being moved as I move around the mouse. Can't really see it in the game window. I might have to change something there. But we can see that our unit is indeed tracking wherever our mouse goes. And that was the idea. Let's see. I see. The problem is that the Z position is being changed. Oh well. Okay, I see why. Alright, so now that we've gotten some progress, you should definitely save our work. It's always a good idea to save a lot. So let's do scenes, and I'm just going to call this my test scene. Okay. So there's a few other properties that maybe we'll want in our unit, and we can add them to our unit script. So because we want our units to be able to fight, so we'll add a few more properties about combat properties. So units should probably have some health. And I don't know, in this game we'll probably make each unit start out with 100 health. Units should also probably have some sort of value for how much damage they deal. And we should probably also have some sort of amount for defense. It's hard to say what the defense value should be, as many of these mechanics will change as I go through the game and find out what's fun. So we'll just leave them in here for now. We'll probably change them later. We should probably also have a few other properties such as ammo in case they run out of ammo, and morale. And that'll be for if morale gets too low, the unit will run away. Alright, so that's the basics. It's extremely basic. So we can see how we can move a unit in a straight line towards where we want to go. And we can also move the unit towards wherever the mouse is currently. I'll be definitely adding in more features as we go along, but this will be the end of the first video. Next up, we'll be looking at pathfinding. So that'll be when there's obstacles in the way of our unit. So maybe there'll be a mountain or a river that our unit can't get across, and we'll have to make sure our unit can get around there somewhat intelligently. And that's called pathfinding. That's what we'll cover next time.